Good morning. Welcome to CSLDallas Science of Mind class. I'm Dr. Petra, and we are in the summary of part 2, Spiritual Mind Healing. We are finishing this little summary, which kind of captures all of the little pieces we've been talking about in this section of part 2. And it's summarizing the theory, right? Because then in the next portion of it, we're going to go into the part 3, Spiritual Mind Healing. We're going to go into the practice of it. And we're going to talk about how do we really embody and apply spiritual healing to our lives. So this is a summary of the theory upon which our ability to do spiritual mind treatment or do spiritual healing rests. Okay, that's what these few pages are. And so here at the top of page 178, there is an opportunity for us to just finish up the first page where we were talking about how some things are, they're just part of the consciousness of being a human being, right? We didn't choose them. They just are what we receive as we grow as human beings. I love this last statement. We do not need consciously to think negation in order to produce physical disturbance, right? And we talked about that last week because there's a belief in inherited diseases. There's a belief in disease at all, or poverty, or all of these things, stress and challenge. We inherit that because we're human beings. But the physical correspondent is a logical outcome of what we think, right? Which means basically we haven't thought something different than conventional way of thinking about the world. Do you see what I'm saying? We've just allowed that to be us on autopilot. Thus we see not only how important it is to entertain right thoughts, but also the necessity for having a constructive basis for our thinking. And this is why it's so important. It's so important for us to understand what we're doing, right? It's so that we know what's happening when we say, I'm in the middle of fear. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna remind myself that there's no reason for a divine expression of the one to be afraid. In the moment, do you see? But I need to know why I can say that so that I can say it. Otherwise, all I'm doing is affirming, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. That's a step. It's a step in the right direction. But we need this, the basis for having a constructive basis for our thinking so that we can continually go back to it over and over and over again. Our goal is ultimately not to rely on spiritual mind treatment, but to live from the consciousness of truth. Then when we do spiritual mind treatment, we're juicing the seed, we're handling something that has come up and we expect it to be immediately handled, right? Before we have that really constructive thinking as just a natural way of being in the world, we are needing our spiritual mind treatment over and over and over again because we're falling out of that way of thinking. Does that make sense? So, and I've been doing this for a really long time, and I still do spiritual mind treatment every day, partly because it feels so good. And I love the consciousness that it develops, and it reminds me to stay in that constructive basis of where I'm going to think from. Do you see? Where am I going to stand from which I'm going to think, from which I'm going to approach, from which I'm going to handle whatever is going on in life? So then the next little paragraph is about how important this practice is, right? Ernest Holmes uses the word prayer in here. Our spiritual mind treatment practice really cements in over time this idea of how the universe actually works, that it's constantly working that way, and that we're co-creating every moment of every day. And so I think this next paragraph is really interesting. We find that faith in God is a spiritual quality of the mind, and an understanding faith is based on immutable principle. Its action is higher than that of the intellect because it is born of intuition. So what I often find is that we shy away from the use of our minds. We want to feel it and just know it. Well, feeling it is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is an understanding. There's some spots right here. So if we want to let them sit in there, thank you. It's spiritual quality of the mind, right? Or let's say we like to change the word mind to consciousness. Faith is a spiritual quality of our consciousness. So do you know that you can have faith without feeling faith? Right? And sometimes I notice people wait to do their spiritual mind treatment until they feel it. No. The whole point of doing the spiritual mind treatment is to remember why we can have faith, what we are having faith in, and rearranging our consciousness in alignment with that. Do you see? So if we wait to feel it, if we wait to feel our oneness, we may never do a spiritual mind treatment because we're constantly waiting to be in that state. So it is a quality, faith is a quality of consciousness. Actually, I would say it's a discipline. It's a mental discipline. It's over and over and over again coming back to what we know to be true, whether we feel it in the moment or not, right? Which is why, as human beings, we have to feel our feeling. We do actually have to feel our fear. We're not saying, oh, I'm not afraid. We're saying, oh, I'm feeling fear. The spiritual truth is something different than that which I am afraid of. Do you see? It's not about not feeling the feeling. It's recognizing that it's our state of consciousness that is what counts. And so if we allow the feeling to overcome our state of consciousness, then that's the place we're coming from. So it's this quality, spiritual quality of the mind, and an understanding faith is based on immutable principle. So I often have this conversation with people about the fact that it's not spirit that responds to our treatments. It's the law. It's the law. And the law is immutable. What you put into the law is what you will get out, period. End of sentence. There's no opinion about it. There's no judgment about it. Spirit doesn't have an opinion about how you use the law, right? Spirit is that impulse of life to be life in its fullness, and the impulse of life is always for greater good. Always. So when we're aligning ourselves with this push for greater good. But what that looks like is entirely up to us. And the law just reflects it back. The law is like a mirror, and it just reflects it back. And so this is why we can say there's no big or little. There's no big or little, right? The mirror doesn't matter whether it's my 5-year-old granddaughter or me standing in front of it. The mirror doesn't say, wait, you're too tall, I can't handle you, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether she's the same height, the same age, nothing. And it doesn't matter whether she can comb her own hair. The mirror has no opinion. The mirror doesn't say, oh, you can't comb your own hair, so I'm going to show you a messy image. Do you see what I'm saying? No, it's just a mirror. So this action of understanding faith, this spiritual quality of the mind, is beyond the intellect because it is born of intuition. And this is where we have to understand, we have to really understand that our intuition is not, it's not a feeling. So I often hear people say you have to go from your intellect to your heart, from your head to your heart. We have to bring our heart into it, right? That's our openness to life. But intuition is actually simply another way of knowing. And intuition is a way of knowing that takes all of the disparate pieces of our understanding, and all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden the puzzle comes together. And we can know the wholeness even though there are pieces of the puzzle missing. Usually what that means is the pieces of the puzzle that are missing is how it's going to happen. Yeah. Those are the pieces of the puzzle that are missing, because that's actually the law's job. And so intuition allows us to sort of grasp the wholeness of it. And the same thing is happening in our spiritual mind treatment. We're grasping the wholeness of the reality of the infinite, of the reality of this impulse of life always being for good, of the reality of the law always bringing about what's impressed upon it. And when we can hold that all at once and speak our word out of that, do you see, we're speaking our word out of our intuitive knowing that what we speak is the truth. Because it's that whole piece. And until we do that, we do our steps of our spiritual mind treatment. But our intuition is this ability to know the whole from all these seeming disparate parts of the things that we're learning. And it's the science of mind does not teach that you can't know God, because God is this infinite thing, you can't know it. No. Science of mind does not teach that. Science of mind teaches that while the universe is infinite, and God is this infinite reality, and spirit is all things, both tangible and intangible and everything else, there is that within us that can know it. And that is our intuition. Because our intuition can know the whole. Now, we may never be able to talk about it because we don't actually have words to talk about something so big. So we begin to talk about pieces of it, and it looks like we don't know the whole, right? But this process of growing our consciousness, this spiritual quality of the mind, this spiritual quality of the mind, and an understanding faith that is based on these immutable principles, do you see, that becomes this intuitive way where we can then take in a situation and see it in its wholeness, which is this intuitive knowing about how we are going to be. Not necessarily always, well, I have an intuition about what's going on with that person. Do you see? We often feel like, well, I have an intuition about something outside of ourselves. We may, but more importantly, when we do our spiritual work, it is the intuition that we have that the impulse of spirit is right here, always. You can't get outside of it. The law is always working, and all of it is on my side. How do I know it's on my side? Because it's always for life. It's always for good. It's always for expression. It's always for the expression, the experience of as much life as possible. So therefore, it must be on my side. Do you see? And then that becomes this consciousness, this spiritual quality of the mind. Or we might say a spiritual quality of our consciousness. One should have faith in oneself, in our fellow people, in the universe, and in God. Our mind must be steady in the conviction that our life is some part of God, and that the Spirit is incarnated in us. Period. End of sentence. In our spiritual work, we are not talking to God. We are not hoping that somehow God's going to hear our conversation that we're having. And certainly we are never going to say, well, Spirit didn't want me to have it. We're never going to say that. Spirit only wants to be expressed as you. Everything else is the law. And the law may be saying, wait, this might not be the way to go. I'm showing you it could be this way. Right? But that's because it's taking you to your end result. So we have to, our work is to build this trust in what's actually going on. This is what he means by an understanding faith. It's not blind faith. We do not teach blind faith. Science Mind does not teach blind faith. You don't do it because I said it, or because Ernest Holmes says it, or because your practitioner says it. You do it because you've proved it to yourself. Because you've worked it and worked it and worked it, and you begin to prove it to yourself, right? And so we have to have this steady conviction that our life is some part of the divine, of the one, and that Spirit is incarnated in us as us. This could be the one place where we are most disconnected. When we talk about separation, we're talking about this sense of separation where we don't actually believe that that's true. And we do our work from a place of our humanness. Now, our humanness is great because that's how we experience and express right here. That's why we have feelings, and why we have good food, and why we hike in the mountains, and why we contribute our gift, and we write books and play the violin, and we have, businesses, and we do things, right? That's because we are actually here on the space-time in the physical universe as human beings to express all of that. But not separate from the infinite, as the infinite individualized, uniquely, perfectly and preciously as you. Nobody can smile like Tina as she's walking around, right? Me, I'm an introvert. I have that, what do they call it, the resting bitch face, right? And it's true, right? And if I'm like really inside myself and I'm walking, like people think I'm mad. Because it's right. I know. There's other introverts in the room. I see nodded heads, right? Whereas Tina just smiles at everybody, right? Right? It's a unique way. We all have these unique and precious ways to show up in the world. That is our humanness. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually precious and beautiful and perfect. And why would we want to get out of it? What we want to remember is that that this is the individualized expression of the one, and that's the truth of all of us. That's the truth of who we are, of all beings everywhere, all the time, all of creation, everything, individualized expressions of the one. Do you see? It's our come from place. And over and over and over again, our spiritual work is to move us from the come from place of, I'm a small human being, to I'm the universe making itself manifest as me. And so when I do my spiritual work, or when I'm walking around in the world, I'm the infinite expressing right here, right now. And when we talk about separation, right, that's the ultimate false belief. That's the ultimate false belief. That somehow I have to become more spiritual. I have to become one with God. I have to build my relationship with God. No, you already did. You have to remember. Remember this truth. Clear the window. Wipe away the veils. Release the false beliefs. Not out of arrogance, because so is everybody else, right? And it's not just me, not just you, not just the people in this room or online. No, everybody. This is true for everybody. And so all of our spiritual work is to embrace this truth, embody it, accept it as true. Not out of arrogance, but out of possibility. What's possible? What's possible if this were true? What might we contribute to the world? What might we heal besides our own lives? What impact might we have if that were true? And we knew that we already had the unlimited resource of the universe flowing through us and as us. What might we be able to offer to the world? Right? So it's not just about, I'm going to fix my own life and heal my own life and get a little more money and have a nice car and yada, yada, yada. That's nothing wrong with that. But we also realize that's just not enough. at some point we get that getting doesn't fill us up. It's one of those just weird paradoxes, right? It's always the contribution that fills us up. And it's the sweat, the blood, sweat, and tears that happens while we're getting ourselves going. And then we have that moment of, oh my God, there's my contribution. And it happens, something that's what's fulfilling, right? And the ease and grace of the process comes because we've developed a spiritual quality of consciousness. And an understanding faith that no matter where we are, no matter what's happening, no matter what's going on, Spirit is present and the law is working. And all I have to do is remember that and reorient myself into that. And now walk with faith. I like the word trust. Walk with trust. Walk with trust that that this is actually true. And now I'm moving from a different place. Do you see? I'm moving from a different place. And this separation, the ultimate false belief in that moment is healed. Because I'm living in the paradox of being spirit human. No separation. Spirit human. No space, no dash. Spirit human. Spirit human. All one word. The wholeness of who we are, just like the wholeness of the one is everything intangible and everything tangible. That's the wholeness of the one, but that's the wholeness of us as well. Do you see? And this is a quality of consciousness. Now our heart opens and we have joy in that, and we can love because we're not afraid. We can have passion about things because we know the universe is on our side. We can feel deep sorrow, deep grief. We can feel deep anger and know that we have the tools to feel the feelings and allow them to be expressed without harm and in a way that actually benefits or moves whatever is going on forward, right? Then we're not afraid of our feelings. And we can have them full out. And then we move from our spiritual understanding, this deep quality of consciousness that is the place we move from. Do you see? Then we're not afraid. We're not afraid to have our feelings. We're not afraid to speak up. We're not afraid to say what we think. We're not afraid. We're just like the flower blooms. It just blooms. It just blooms. It's not afraid of the wind or the rain or the bee or the the thing that's going to knock it over. It just blooms. Just blooms. All right, so we're going to stop there and talk about this quality of consciousness and ask, how do you build it? What stands in the way of you and this quality of consciousness that really is this trust that this is the truth and it's the truth of who you are? So we're going to say good morning to Ryan and to Richard, and we're going to see what's going on. Good morning to everybody online and see what's going on out there.
Well, good morning to you too, Dr. Petra, and hello to everybody here in the room. Thank you for waving at me. I appreciate that. And hello to all of those who are joining us all over the globe online via Zoom and Facebook Live. Love that you're in community with us today. Make sure to say where you're watching us from, because we love to hear how many lives we're touching all around the globe. And as Dr. Petra mentioned, this is an engaging conversation, so we'd love to hear from you. For the people who are in the room, and you can raise your hand unless you're Armando pointing at me, pointing at you. Then you can have the mic passed around to you. And for those who are joining us here in Zoom, you can hit the raise your hand icon and I can bring you into the room. And you can also put your questions inside of the chat, and I can say those out loud as well as those who are joining us on Facebook Live. Make sure to drop in your questions and comments, and I'll bring those into the room. And I always like to mention that I keep those anonymous. That way we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So let's go here to Armando first, and then we'll go
Glenna.
back over there to Glenna.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Petra. I'm so grateful that I'm here this morning because these last 2 weeks I've had a multitude of manifestations. It's just so overwhelming to soak it in at first. I had to process it.
Yes.
But what I'm learning is that I've been building my faith. I've been building my consciousness.
Yes.
I've been going to affirmative prayers, reaching out to my spiritual practitioners, and on. All of those, but it's being disciplined every single day, every single morning, every single evening. And I want to share a quick demonstration of how strong my faith and my consciousness was. 3 weeks ago, my CFO said, we need to talk, and we need to reach X number by the end of the year. And I said, okay. And this needs to happen. And I said, look, just give me the number, and that's all I want.
Yep.
I will hold it in consciousness, let me do my thing, and you take care of what you need to do, and let me do my thing. And I have all these other things that are pending. And 3 weeks, kid you not, 3 weeks later, this Friday, I received. So I've been meditating for the last 3 weeks, and I've been visioning receiving an influx of emails saying, congratulations, you've been awarded. Congratulations, you just received a donation. I didn't put dollar amounts.
Right.
I just envisioned an influx in my inbox. So on Friday, I received, congratulations, you've been awarded X amount. And it was the same exact number, not a dollar below, not a dollar over. It was exactly what I held in consciousness. That's all I wanted to know, so that I can do my thing. And that's just
right.
It's that faith and knowing and believing. But it's taken me 9 years doing first time ever and facing my fears and working through it. And now I'm really strong. And I can take on more.
Right.
And this award, not only was it for the award that I got the number, but it solidified that I am now officially opening statewide, and I have my first major city.
Wow,
So-
that is so great, Armando. Right. So let's. It's so lovely to have TSRWs, and that's why we share, right? But I also want you to notice that Armando never stops working on it. There's no, I'm getting to know how to do this, so I'm going to just know. Okay. Do you see? I mean, he continues to work on it every day and building consciousness, not working out of fear. Oh my God, what if it doesn't happen? I better do this to make sure it happens because clearly I'm making it happen. Right? It's the discipline of staying in that constructive place of that quality of spirit, that quality of consciousness, right? And making that habitual come from place. And so I really love that you share that. And then we don't have to be afraid. We just keep at it, right? We just keep at it. And the demonstration is assured. And so I love that. And I also love that your sharing reminds us it's not about the how. It's not this grant is going to come in. It's not, oh, that number's really big, so maybe 3 people will give me a third of that. No. It's the end result, and however it comes in is how it comes in. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, we're going to pass it back to Glenna. Can we just pass it over? That'd be awesome.
So you asked the question, how do you build this? And I noticed for myself, this week I got some results of a test that were not what I expected. And for about 48 hours, I went into like, that kind of experience. And then started to say, okay, this is not the truth of who you are and all of it. I think the big question for me is the first 48 hours where you're really sort of locked in, oh my God. And some of it is a response from what someone says to you when they're delivering news, right? And the level of gravity or not that they're sharing. And so that's where I said I finally got there, but those first couple of days were tough. So the how do you build this, I think, is when something unexpected shows up. And literally out of left field, right? And you're going like, okay, now I have to switch gears into something that
Right.
I'm not ready for. And,
Right.
And so, if you could speak to that would be very helpful.
Well, it's really great. Thank you, Glenna, for sharing that, because that is where the rubber meets the road, right? And no shame, no blame for being knocked off course. No shame, no blame for not being centered in the moment, because sometimes it feels really big, really surprising, right? And the sooner we can get to putting our stake in the ground, the better. It's not insurmountable that it's 48 hours or 4 weeks or 4 months, right? But the sooner that we can get our stake in the ground, and this is why it's an understanding faith. If we count on our feelings, we'll stay knocked off. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's immediately, as quickly as possible, asking ourselves, is this the spiritual truth? No, this is not the spiritual truth. This might be this person's idea of the truth. No, this is not, this is not the spiritual truth. And it's this practice of moving into faith when we don't feel it. And sometimes it starts out with just words, right? I love seeing, I just think it's so clear here. It's so clear here. Faith in God, in the spiritual reality, in the truth, is a spiritual quality of mind, of consciousness. And so when our let's say faith in doctors, because they do say it with a great deal of gravitas, is confronted by our faith in the spiritual truth. Do you see now two things? We're holding two things that we have an opportunity to choose from. Because we have inherited a faith that when the doctors say it's so, that it's so. And when you say to them out loud, that's not the spiritual truth of me, they look at you like you're insane. And when you say it to your family, they say, oh my God, you got it. Aren't you going to take care of yourself? So sometimes we don't say it out loud. That doesn't mean we're not saying it. That doesn't mean we're not saying it. No, that's not the spiritual truth of me, right? And it's always finding the place to stand, the spiritual place to stand. And Glenna, sometimes it takes me time, right? Sometimes it takes me time, especially when there are big things going on in the world. And really big things that are going on in my life. If I start feeling myself having agitation or feelings around it, especially fear or anger or, right, what I do is I don't do anything because I'm looking for my place to stand. And I'm testing what spiritual truth have I forgotten in the moment. What's the reality? How am I going to see this? How am I going to hold this from my spiritual truth? And I have to feel into it. For me, it's a kinesthetic, because when it lands, my body relaxes. Right? So I'm testing all the spiritual principles, different things that I know to be true, and I'm looking for that spiritual ground that allows me to move from that truth. And until then, I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. I'm not, because I want to come from that place. And sometimes that takes time. Actually, especially sometimes big things in the world, I won't talk about them for a few weeks because I'm so humanly agitated by it. And I don't want to operate in the world from my human agitation, and I don't want to speak from that because now I'm just focusing on what I don't want. Yeah. Right? And I don't want to give it energy. Now, I'm not denying it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not pretending it doesn't exist. I'm finding my space to stand. So don't be afraid of the 48 hours. There's nothing magic about it. Don't be afraid of that, because spiritual truth is always more powerful than false belief. Spiritual truth is more powerful than physical reality. So when we come to spiritual truth, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether it's 48 hours, 4 weeks, 4 months, doesn't matter. When we come to that spiritual truth, that's where we then place our stake. And like Armando, right? And then we go, and then we get support, and then we get other people who are going to, be in that same place with us. And when we feel a little wobbly, we go back to, oh, okay, remind me of the truth. I mean, that's what I say. So I'll call a practitioner or call a prayer partner. Okay, I clearly have forgotten, because I am no longer standing on my ground. So I need you to remind me of what's true. So don't become superstitious. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. When you find it, and then move from there. Okay, beautiful. Cindy back there. Oh, and we had something online. So let's go online, and then we'll come to Cindy.
Okay, yeah. So this question asks, and it's in alignment with what we're talking about right here, right now. It says, so are we using baby steps and little wins to build our confidence for the bigger manifestations? I think that thumbs up was an answer.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why you should use it for everything. Everything. Even little things. I mean, you cannot use up your number of spiritual mind treatments. You cannot use up your work with the law. It would be like saying you've used up gravity and tomorrow you're going to get out of bed and it's not going to hold you. You've used up math. Today you can't do math because you've used up all your opportunities for doing math. You cannot use addition today. Do you see? It's a law. That's why we call it a principle. Addition is a principle. If you have two things and you add them up, you have the total of all the things. That's what addition is. It's a principle. You can't use it up. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and every little win, this is why it's the science of mind. Every little win proves to you that it works. So test it. That's where our life becomes a spiritual laboratory. Test it. Start with little things, parking places, finding $1 on the ground, having somebody call you that you can't find their phone number, but you know that you're connected. Know that they're going to call you. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can prove this to yourself. I'm going to make a plan and it's going to work out. I'm going to do this presentation and it's actually going to be great, even if no presentation has ever gone well, right? Just step by step by step. And this is what builds that understanding faith, because we don't want to wait till it's something big. Because then we haven't built that spiritual quality of consciousness that can shift into the spiritual mode, right? Because we're not living from that place all the time. We would miss being human beings. We're not trying to miss being human beings. We want to know how to shift into that at any moment and operate from that place. So yes. Start with the little things, because then when the big stuff happens, you have shown yourself that it works. It's a great question. Okay, we had a comment in the back.
Yeah, I'm Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
And I just wanted to add, and I think you touched on it a little bit, Reverend Petra, but when you're in a state where you're knocked down by something, that's what the spiritual coaches are there for. And for those in the room, you can go by the Peace Room and pick up a card from your favorite practitioner that has their contact information, so you can call them or text them when something like this comes up. And for those online, our contact information is online as well.
It's in the Spiritual Coach Directory on our website under Community Spiritual Coach Directory.
And they can hold that container of consciousness for you until you get there, or they can also have a coaching session with you to help teach you how to get there on your own. So both of those things are available to everybody all the time.
Yes, I love that you said that. I love that you said that. We were in the middle of our pledge program earlier in October, and I had a moment of abject fear, like in the pit of your stomach and the body and everything. I had a moment of abject fear. In that moment, I picked up the phone and I called a practitioner. And I was literally crying. And I said, I am so afraid. I need you to know the truth. 48 hours. All that I needed had come in. Like you, all that we needed had come in 48 hours. And because also by knowing that I'd reached out, do you see, sometimes I can't have my own faith, but I can have faith in someone else's faith. Right? Because I'm so in it. My fear has taken over my consciousness. But I know that you're not in fear and you know how to do this. So by God, I'm gonna give it to you, and then I'm gonna do my work, but I know you've got it. That's why we have spiritual coaches and practitioners, because yes, sometimes it does get to us. And so we don't have to do it alone, right? Remember, you do not have to do it alone. And the practitioners and spiritual coaches, right, they are trying to coach you then in these moments. What do I do in that 48 hours? What if I do that I'm knocked off center? But the practitioner I called, she knows I know how to do this. I just needed somebody to know it for me until I could know it too. Do you see? And then immediately, because I knew somebody was on it, my fear began to drop. Because I knew the spiritual work was being done, and then I could move myself into that same place. Do you see? Does that make sense to you? Do you see? And it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Which is why we have sanghas. You get a group of people, right? You get your spiritual support. You do spiritual mind treatment every month together. You support each other. That's why, have prayer partners, and use our spiritual coaches when you do have that moment. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're smart enough to reach out for help, right? And then you can rely on somebody's to help that stair-stepping back into the spiritual truth. All right, so we're going to talk about, we're very excited about things coming up here at CSL Dallas for the holidays. We have Thanksgiving coming up.
We do, and Reverend Marquia, who just ironically got up and walked out on us, is going to be leading that along with practitioner Avis Ives. So come for the celebration of gratitude in our lives, and most importantly, the food that will be happening afterwards.
Yes.
Make sure to bring a good side dish, as CSL Dallas is going to be providing the proteins. And I think some of the drinks as well, too. Is that right?
Yes. We do the protein and the drinks. You bring the side dishes. And everybody keeps saying side dishes. And I'm like, side dishes or dessert.
And I want to mention this, too, Dr. Peter, because I see April here has one of these bears.
Yes.
April, if you want to just hold the bear up here. We are doing, the bear and blanket in every chair. So do you want to explain a little bit?
Yes. December 17th, we'll be turning over bears and blankets to Armando, to the Cardboard Project. And so our theme for the holidays is wrapped in love. And so it's not just for us, it's for others. So we want to share that love. So we're having any stuffed animal, although bears are always great, a bear or blanket in every chair, so that we can love on the bears, love on the blankets while we're here, whether it's here in this room or whether it's in the sanctuary. Please bring them. And I think the 17th is a Wednesday. So the last Sunday, what is that, the 14th, will be the last Sunday. So between now and then, bring a new. It doesn't have to be wrapped, although it's lovely that it is, but it has to be new. A new stuffed animal or a new throw or a blanket of some sort. And we'll just have them all over the place. We can love on them, and then we'll share that through the cardboard project.
And we're going to be gifting that to a family shelter where they have families, households in a family shelter in Plano and Collin County. So
Wonderful.
I think that's going to them.
Wonderful.
And for those who couldn't hear, Armando was saying we're going to be donating that to a family shelter here up in Plano.
And
for those who are online,
I was just gonna say that.
you can reach out to info@csldallas.org, and we'll be happy to help give you our address.
Yeah.
But we do need to get it in no later than December 17th.
Yep. So if you want to send something here, please do. We'll add it to our bear and blanket in every chair. And then the other thing is the last Sunday, for those of you who are local and you're online as well, last Sunday is our Blue Holiday. You know, I'm a super Christmas nut, thanks to my mother. I love the holidays, and I love over the years all the holiday traditions that we celebrate. But that's not true for everybody. Right? Sometimes it's for family reasons, for childhood reasons. The holiday is not a great time. Sometimes it's for what's going on in our lives today or this year or, in the last few years, whatever it is. And what we want to do is remind ourselves and each other that it's okay. You don't have to force cheerfulness. It really is okay. It is okay to feel our feelings around these things. And so Blue Holiday is an opportunity. We light candles for people that are, that have been lost in war or violence, and we light candles for those people that we are no longer connected to for some reason, for illness or mental issues. We light candles for all the reasons why our childhood reasons, for all the reasons why we might not share in the joy of the holidays, so that we can just be with our human experience and our human feelings. And those of us who maybe aren't having that feeling or don't have that feeling this year, right, we can hold the container of love, and then we light some candles for those people who really are making a difference in the world. It is a beautiful ritual. Reverend Marquita will be leading that ritual. It's absolutely gorgeous. So please do join us. If you're online, this is the last Sunday on the 30th. Make sure you have a candle with you when you're watching, and then you can light your candle when you feel so moved to participate in the ritual. It's just a... Yeah, we should never pretend. We're not pretending that everything is fine when it's not. What we're doing is we're knowing that even if something isn't fine, there's a way through. That's what we're doing, right? And that we have a place to stand. We have people who will stand with us. We have people who will love on us regardless of what's going on, and we will find our way through it. So please do join us. It's a really, really special and sweet moment as we enter into this sort of little bit of crazy hype cheerfulness of the holidays. We've got lots of other things coming up, so please do stay in touch with our all of the ways in which you know about what's going on our website and everywhere else. And I think we're done. Yes?
Okay.
Are we done?
Opa!
Bye for now.